So, welcome to the World Tour of Meditation. I have with me today Shanta Gabriel, who is an incredible channel. She channels archangels of all kinds, and she'll tell us all about that, including Archangel Gabriel. And Shanta is joining us from Mount Shasta, California. Welcome, Shanta. It's a real pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much. It is such a pleasure to be here and see you again.
It was lovely. I got to spend New Year's Eve at Shanta's house, and it was such a beautiful, beautiful connection. Thank you.
The day of New Year's Eve. I don't stay up that late. But it was wonderful to bring in the new year with you and to really have an experience of what you're here to do and how beautiful that is.
Thank you. Thank you. So can you tell us a little bit about what channeling an archangel is and what an archangel is for people who aren't familiar with that?
Archangels are beings of light, and they are absolutely messengers of God. They are expansive consciousness, and they hold these qualities, the essence of these empowered qualities that we need in daily life. And they also reflect the chakra system, so that there is an archangel that is represented in the chakras in each one. And I teach about that. I have a class coming up, by the way. So that is part of the teachings of the archangels, to bring more light to the planet, to bring more divinity through us, for us to be able to have the ability to contact the teachings, the essence, the empowered presence of greater light and greater beings. They've never been embodied. They're beyond embodiment. You know, they're beyond gender. You know, they're this expansive presence of divinity.
What
available to us? Excuse me.
What tradition do they come from? Like, and how did you come across them? What's your story? What did you grow up with, and how did you come across archangels?
I fortunately grew up with no teachings of religion whatsoever.
Wow.
So that was really helpful, because I didn't have anything to undo, and recover from, So, but it also left me searching for something that had more value and purpose in life. And so I met my guru and got exposed to the teachings of the East, of the Eastern teachings of reincarnation and karma, for instance. Those two principles alone really transformed me, because they allowed something greater to be expressed in life. And so this incredible gift of meeting a guru, and also refining my energy system through meditation, chanting, and all of the Hindu traditions, really helped me to be more open and receptive. In 1988, just after the harmonic convergence, which I believe changed the world. So the harmonic convergence was August 16th and 17th, 1987. It was the end of the Mayan calendar and 26,000 years of history. Okay. And it was the beginning of an increase in energy that would culminate in 2012.
It gives me chills when you say that.
Me too. So we began in 87 to start bringing more light onto the planet. It was the first global peace meditation, was that harmonic convergence. And things began to change and shift after that magnetically. The whole earth, the whole electromagnetic core of the earth started changing and increasing in energy. And so in 2012, that was like the beginning of a whole new time, We had, it wasn't the golden age birthing as many of us were hoping, but what it did was start this 7-year process of releasing everything that was not peace on earth.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and now as we move into 2020, we're actually going to have the year that we thought 2012 was going to be. So that's a very active, transformational year. It may not be comfortable, but it's going to be very transformational and beautiful if we could really remember the truth that's underneath, that there is a divine plan in all of that. So 1988, I was feeling restless. I've been a massage therapist. I was kind of one of the early pioneers of energy medicine, energy healing work. And I was doing that work. I was actually working on somebody in my healing room. And at the very end of that, what I do is send light down the body. So I was on my knees behind her head, sending light down the body. Mm-hmm. I usually use golden light. And I suddenly felt like the whole earth was shifting. It was like this kind of vibration. You know, if you're from California, you think earthquake. That's what it felt like. It was an earthquake. And the light in the room got lighter and lighter and more golden and very strong. And usually the light of the sunset did not come in my house. So I finally decided to open my eyes, and at the end of my table, this is kind of big, at the end of my table, there was this massive golden being with wings that went out the ceiling. It was huge. It was intense. And I think if I hadn't already been on my knees, I probably would have been flattened at that point to my knees. And in my mind, I said, "Who are you?" And I heard this huge booming voice, and he said, "I am Archangel Michael." And I could not compute that. It just was like, you know, this does not compute. I don't know. I had nothing in my background about angels at all. And I couldn't really grasp that there would be an archangel at the end of my massage table. It was all just too much. And in Hinduism, what I was trained was that you don't get caught up in visions, because that is taking you away from truth. So
you had any visions in your Hindu practice until
a lot. And so it wasn't unusual for me to have visions, but mostly, you know, I was able to just kind of receive them and stuff. So I pretty much said, "Thank you for sharing. I'm busy," you know, and I let him go.
Bye.
And so he didn't completely go away, but for about a year, I ignored him. There wasn't that same dramatic entrance, but there was a lot of light, and people would get off my table and go, "Oh, I just felt so much gold light," you know, and I'd say yes, you know, but his presence was still there.
So you noticed that the kinds of healing work you did was changing, and the energy
changed very much. It had way more power and way more depth, and there was noticeable healings that occurred. Then about a year or so later, I was in a different house. I was meditating on my couch. And
what kind of meditation were you doing?
Oh, mantra meditation, breath meditation. That was what my Guruji taught. And so I usually do that still. And then the same kind of feeling of the earth shifting and gold light came in. And I opened my eyes, and there was even bigger, massive presence of this angel that had wings, again, that went out the ceiling. And we had a cathedral ceiling, so it was like huge. And only this time I could see the eyes. And the eyes just melted my heart. There was so much love. And he said he was Archangel Gabriel, and that he was going to teach me how to communicate. And so that was just it. I just surrendered then completely, So I had been asking for my new path, but it never occurred to me that Archangels was a path that I should be on. It was so lovely. So every day I would do my meditation, and he taught me this alignment exercise, which is what we did at the very beginning. So this alignment through the chakras allows us to bring the light through us and anchor heaven on earth, to be a bridge of heaven on earth. So bringing divinity onto the planet became the goal. And so that started, that was 30 years ago. That was 1990.
Wow.
And I have been receiving messages ever since.
Every day, many times a day, constantly?
Usually, I mean, they come kind of, if I'm in a high enough state, they can come all day, every day. However, most of the time, it's not a waking conscious state, although we're getting closer to that. It's more through meditation. And then at the end of my meditation, I'll usually, and I mean, it helps a lot if I can ask a question that kind of directs the answers.
Okay.
And then I can receive, and I keep a notebook right next to me so I can receive. And a lot of days there's nothing, but for a good period of time, for years back then in 1990, I received messages every day. They became a book. They became a card set. It's called the Gabriel Messages. Surprisingly, and the cards are also called the Gabriel Messages. And when they got published,
the lights on them, bring them closer, if you will.
Oh, I see the light. I don't know what to actually do to keep the light from here, but
I think it's appropriate given that you're talking about light.
I know, and that's the main theme that the archangels, especially Gabriel, has talked about, is light. Well, Archangel Uriel as well. So
Okay.
he's the angel of light.
So get into that. I have like 4 questions on what you just said.
Okay.
And 2 of them I think are more clarifications in case we've got viewers who aren't so familiar with some of the things you've said. And 2 of them are like questions I also have for you. You said that after your vision of Archangel Michael in 1988, that your healings became, like the healing work you did, there was more noticeable healing.
Yes.
I'm wondering, like, what does that mean for someone? What does that mean?
Well, it's, excuse me, I was getting a little cold here. Mount Shasta, we have snow. It depends on somebody's receptivity to heal. It's really up to them more than me. It's taught me how to raise vibrational frequencies. It's taught me how to help connect people to their divinity, to their own higher self, basically, because everything comes through the higher self. This is one of the main teachings of Archangel Gabriel, is you don't just call in any guide, any spirit. You don't allow that to happen. And you allow your higher self to bring to you the vibrational frequency of the master or guide or angel that you need to be working with. But it's all your personal energy system that is doing the work. It's your intuition that, and helps you to trust your intuition more too. So that is kind of the first step in the work that I do, is connecting people to their higher self. And then then the energy patterns show up in their bodies, and
this is like patterns in the chakras, patterns
more the lines, the meridians mostly. And so I just kind of clear the lines, and let my hands, which are very educated at this point, I let them do the work, and I try to keep my mind out of it, and just as much, follow the guidance and the energy working in me.
Okay. The other question that came to mind is, you said that when the state is high enough, like when you're meditating, and what does that mean for someone who hasn't experienced that? Like, how do you know when you're in a high state vibrationally?
Well, a lot of people go to sleep. Because it's a high frequency energetic that we're not used to in everyday life. And so the idea is by meditation to not only raise our frequencies, but prepare our physical body to be able to receive more.
How
And
would you explain what raise our frequency means to, say, someone coming from the Indian tradition or someone coming from like a Buddhist tradition?
I think it would be easier to talk about American tradition than Indian tradition, because I'm sure it may not translate. I'm not really sure about Indian tradition that much. A high frequency state is what you feel when you're in nature, when you're sitting by a waterfall, when you have this kind of blissful energy. That's there. Uh, One of the things that people who are not used to this much high frequency energy is they tend to fall asleep. And so, many times when I've had a chance to talk to somebody, or when I talk to a class, there's people that go to sleep in the class and they think that they blew it, but no, it's like this is part of our ability to expand our energy body. And because one of the things that came to me the other day is I am an illumined soul in a rainbow body of light, grounding divine presence through me into the earth. So that's my new favorite affirmation. It's, this rainbow body of light is part of our energy system. It's in a very expansive system that we live in. We live, move, and have our being in this divinity. Does that answer that?
Yeah. I think that's a very beautiful answer. Thank you. The other question is, so when you sort of were first entering into a spiritual path, through mantra meditation, through working with your guru, and you were having these visions, and then you started having visions with the angels, how did you like reconcile what you said of like, you're told not to give too much, in certain traditions you're told not to give so much importance to like the visions that you see, because that detracts you from reaching the core still within, and like the truth. And so how did you reconcile that? Because obviously you're doing that work and you're still chanting mantras and
Yeah. I think that part of our path right now is to reconcile polarities and bring unity into that. And so one of the things that they kept being there with me, and when I started receiving these incredibly beautiful messages from Archangel Gabriel, I didn't tell anybody. I was married at that time, and I didn't even tell my husband for like almost 3 years. So yeah, there was finally, I was receiving these messages, and so finally I shared them with one of my best friends, and they were just blown away. They were just, it helped them. It was like these messages had depth and beauty and inspiration, and they had an energy transmission in them that you could feel. So I started then feeling a little more at peace with that. And the visions also kind of stopped. They didn't really, I could feel the light. I could feel the expansion. I could feel the bliss. I could feel the love. And I wasn't too interested in grounding at that time in my life, but I could feel how, this visceral, energetic of expansiveness and peace and love. And so those are all these high vibrational states. Every time we feel love, every time we feel peace, every time we are inspired, it's a high vibrational frequency. And it's changing us. It's changing us literally down to the DNA. And so it's a state to cultivate in meditation, I believe. And the breath is very important in that also.
How does meditation practice help you cultivate that state?
by refining my physicality, by refining my energy system.
Mm.
And one of the messages from Archangel Gabriel was, well, so much about light, be light, live light, receive light. He said, you're never far from the light. It's as close as your breath. And since I had been taught pranayama, it was recognizing that through my breath, I will be able to raise this frequency and be in a more exalted state while I'm in my body.
Mm. So recently I've been hearing a lot of people talk about how, everything's not just all light, and wherever there is light, there also needs to be darkness.
Mm-hmm.
What's your experience of that been?
It's true. And what we focus on increases. And so I prefer not to increase the darkness. I mean, it's there. I don't have any problem in seeing it, just flick on the news, so I know it's there, but it's not my reality. It's not a reality that I choose to live in. And it's all about choice now. We really can choose where your attention goes, energy flows. That's from acupuncture. That's an ancient Eastern, technique. So I prefer to send my energy in places where it's light and where it's there's loving and more empowered.
What about what would you say to like the parts within, say, myself that are feeling like disconnected or sad or angry? How would I integrate light into that?
Well, that alignment exercise, bringing light into every chakra, will really help. And also not blaming yourself for being out of alignment, or out of balance. I mean, it's really not, I don't think it's really, yes, the masters have balance in every moment, but they also have, little upsets and stuff, but they're not attached to it. So if we attach to our sense of disconnection, to our desire to be a better person or, more balanced, then that's going to make it bigger too. That's going to exaggerate the state. So in my experience, it seems to be more practical, resourceful to go take a walk in nature. That'll usually shift it. And also to not be attached to the thoughts, but just, bring in a mantra, find a simple word like I am at peace. Peace is my reality, just, the things that we can walk with, my guru always had a walking mantra, it was Jai Sitaram. But for us, as Americans, we might want to do it in English because it means more, perhaps, and so I am a peaceful presence. I am at peace. Those kinds of things. Love is my reality. I am light. Those kinds of things can help to just kind of take our attention away from self-criticism. I mean, believe me, if self-criticism could have made me enlightened, I would have been years ago. I was the worst. I would never treat another person as badly as I treated myself. So to come, after a tremendous amount of loss in my life, because I had a year when I had, my business went bankrupt. Which was surprising because I didn't think a business based on angels would go wrong, but I never asked for a profit or anything like that. And I always kind of thought of my business as a ministry. So it didn't really have a chance to succeed in the sort of the traditional way, but it succeeded in other ways, I realized. Anyway, so my business went bankrupt. My appendix burst. I had a car accident. I went into menopause. We lost our house. My husband found a new wife. And then there I was, and it with nothing. And I had to start all over again. And I was 56. Wow. So it wasn't, one of the best years. Well, it was probably a great year for me because it completely transformed me. And I recognized that I had to be compassionate with myself because who else was going to do it? You know, I really needed to completely shift my way of perceiving myself and where I am and who I am in the world and all of that. And there was, at that point, the angels also kind of took a hiatus because I was so, I think because my emotional state was so up in so much upheaval, they couldn't come through. I couldn't hear it. But the last thing I heard was, just when did you think you'd need faith? It's, which at the time didn't feel very helpful, but you know, it was the truth because it's easy to have faith when things are going really well. But can you have that depth of faith and knowing that there's a divine plan in the midst of it, know everything when it doesn't look so good?
Mm. What are the tools that helped you have compassion for yourself when all of that was shifting in your life?
Well, I never stopped my meditations, my breathing, my yoga, my chanting. So I always had that. I still, you know, even though they weren't as satisfying, you know, or exciting or interesting, they were, that was kind of a base that kept a place for me to come back to. It was kind of like boot camp, you know. It was the place I had to come back to, the basics. Nature, sorry,
Compassion.
compassion. Uh, I had no choice. I could either make myself more miserable or I could do something that was going to at least soothe me, you know, like a small child, like a kitten. You know, I was trying to teach myself that I was kind of like a little kitten, you know, and I could just, you know, just kind of say it's okay, you know, it'll be okay, you know, pet myself, have more compassion then.
Mm. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, it
That's
was hard. It was not an easy time, and you know, I lost my tethering. You know, I really had to find a whole new um, focal point, and or well, not so much a focal point, but as a baseline.
what is like the one best piece of advice you'd give to someone who feels like they've lost their tethering?
Mm. That they're not alone. That no matter what it seems like, they're really not alone. That that um, that one of the things that the archangels came, why they're suddenly available where they may have only come, you know, to part the Red Sea or talk to Mother Mary or say, you know, you wouldn't, you know, they haven't been really available like they are now. And it's because the whole, oh, I just got this chicken skin, because we are in such a new time. There's never been a time on earth like this. This is unprecedented. We've never had this much energy. There's never been this much light. There's never been so much, the veils are thin to be able to connect with our most divine source. And so even when we may be in a really fragile state and not feel like we're in a good place, then we have to know, at least have the faith that it's true, no matter if we can't feel it or not. And I would say find a mentor, find somebody who's been through it, who can walk you through with compassion, who can inspire other states of belief and knowing.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mentorship. I hear a lot of people, and I mentioned this when we met in person, but I hear so many people, particularly in the spiritual tradition outside of India,
Yeah.
talk about how having a guru is a bad thing. And
Right.
how you're giving away your power, and guru means G, you are you, and all of that.
All of that.
I see advertisements of like, very well-known wellness people and like spiritual teachers that have taglines of "I am not your guru."
Right.
So speak to me about that, because you are one of the few people I have met, and I highly respect, who like lovingly, openly, and comfortably says you have a guru,
Yes.
and you channel work, and you stand in your authority.
Well, say that last sentence again.
And you channel, I said,
Oh, yeah.
and you channel work, and you stand in your authority. So
Yeah.
what is this interplay here?
Well, I think that it is also a different time. I mean, I met my guru in 1977.
Mm-hmm.
That was a very different time on earth. And like I said, the veils are very thin. And I think it has a lot to do with your karma. And, I felt instantly at home in the Hindu tradition. So that isn't everybody's experience.
Mm-hmm.
There's something for everybody. My guru always said, don't get attached to this body, that he was just here to teach us the tools to live a spiritual life. And so in some ways, we do need to be more self-reliant, as long as the self that we're relying on is connected to the divine. Whatever can take us to the divine and connect us to that divine state, that's what it is. And some people, there's also this real need to ground it in the physicality. Like, that's why hatha yoga was invented. That's why tai chi and qigong and all of these Eastern traditions have movement that actually works in the physical body's energy system.
Why is it important to ground light into the physical body?
Why is it important? Because it transforms us. It makes us enlightened. It gives us an expansive viewpoint of a different reality, or takes our reality into a more expansive state, so we can see with more awareness and consciousness. So we can live in that sort of deep, inspired state. That
times in your life when you've been receiving a lot of light but haven't grounded it in your body?
Oh yeah, all the time.
What happens when you go down that path? Why should we do that?
Yes. Wow. Until I don't know how long ago it was, but it was probably in the late 80s to early 90s, actually, but not so much. In my ashram tradition, it was like leaving the body was better than, being inspired in the body. I mean, it was, you just do your practices and then you'll evolve and you'll go out, and then I had an American mentor who talked to me about being grounded and how important that was. And I couldn't even imagine why it was important because, it was just like, oh, I like these blissful states, And now that's true, but we need to bring that all the way through us so that we can anchor blissful states on the earth. We can anchor that is the highest frequency, that when you're in that state of divine awareness and bliss. So yeah, the grounding piece is really important. And plus, this ascension is not that we're going to leave our bodies and get on a spaceship and go anywhere. This ascension is about us refining our energy system so that we can ground a new reality on the planet. And that's what we're here to do. It's a big job. And we all volunteered for that, to be here at this time, And some of us probably ran to the front of the line and said, take me, And for me, it was like, I never felt like I belonged here. This was not an earth that I thought of, but it's becoming the earth that I had intended to be in.
Ooh,
It's, yeah, yeah, that is, it's really interesting to have,
ways that you see it becoming the earth you intended it to be.
when we can have a conversation like this, that is a new earth reality, truly. Because back in even the 90s, I couldn't use the word energy without people telling me it was jargon. Can you, now you have another word for that, you know? And, so, and I, you know, when you're doing energy work as your work, that, you know, there is no other word for that, you know? There's not a word that anybody would recognize, you know? So, you know, actually in India, they have lots of words for it, you know, but in English and America, especially, we didn't have that, you know, it wasn't part of our Western culture.
Mm. I wonder if one of the reasons that you were able to so seamlessly navigate going to the Eastern tradition and coming back into what opened up for you and all of that is because of what you said in the very beginning, that you didn't grow up with any tradition, so you didn't come with the
Yeah,
resistance to structure, the resistance to guidance, the resistance to tradition.
you're right. I think that's a big part of it, big part of it. And yeah, probably I had other lives in India too.
No doubt.
But I think it's really, I think that's really true that I didn't have resistance to, in fact, I wanted to have inspiration. I wanted to have a new way of looking at life. I really needed to have a way of being able to perceive the world that was different than what I've been taught. I think that's one of the reasons that younger people are having an easier time with these shifts in consciousness that we're in right now. They haven't got so much old stuff to let go of. I'm 74, so you know we had to really kind of, it's like a bushwhacker, you know, of the new paradigm. So, but you know, it's, you know, the belief systems have, like, you know, they're kind of anchored in there, and so it's been a real journey to let go as gracefully and easily as possible.
So tell me more about the teachings of the archangels, how they help us let go.
By giving us a whole new frequency to hold on to, for one thing. You know, every single chakra has an archangel representing it, you know, so that each of the chakras has an energetic that works on a conscious level, or could work on a conscious level for us. And so for instance, we're really used to the idea that the base chakra, for instance, that the Muladhara is about survival issues and all of that. But if we took the other side of that and we said, you know, the opposite of survival is well-being, you know, then we would be able to, like, focus on well-being, not survival, you know, and it's a much more resourceful state.
Mm-hmm.
So each archangel has these elements of consciousness, these enlightened aspects that they can inspire in us. If we work with our chakras, it helps us to connect with that quality of consciousness and that vibration that's available for us from the archangel. And so that is a powerful teaching, and it's what really changed my life out of the ashram. It's what allowed me to feel like living on the earth was really okay, that it was possible to expand consciousness even when you were living in a material world.
Wow.
By not focusing on the material part of the world, you know, but more on the qualities of consciousness that are available also.
This reminds me of a quote from Brothers Karamazov, I think, by Dostoevsky. But I think the priest is basically saying that it's very easy to live in a monastery, and it's very
Yes,
hard to live in the world.
it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of strength, and that's why the archangels are here, and that's why Archangel Michael came first, because he is the archangel that brings us the qualities of courage, of strength, and protection. We can call Archangel Michael to protect us, to put a circle of light around us, and it works. It really, when you start having experiences that actually you can repeat, then it becomes something that you can actually use in life.
Do you have any examples of an experience that repeated for you that's very tangible, that someone could really be like, wow, let me try that?
Of course, you'd ask a question that
I know you have like 100. When it pops up, just
okay. I'm sure I do. But this is 40 years more of spiritual activity in the world. So there's lots and lots of miracles and lots of teachings that have proved to be consistent. This to do that alignment exercise that I did at the beginning that I hope you put in.
I'll share it. Yeah, I don't know how I'll edit it, but I'll definitely share it.
Yeah. So that was the first thing that Archangel Gabriel taught me. And so, it's a visceral experience to bring light all the way through each chakra and empower the quality of consciousness that is there in that chakra. And so every single time I do that, I shift, I change my consciousness. It happens every time. It's a tool of expanded awareness.
And Shanta, I believe you have a free gift for your listeners.
Ooh, I so do. So this alignment that we're talking about, this field of light that we work in, and what it is that we're wanting to experience more of, is possible. And I see I have light on my. The light is following me.
You're a radiant being speaking about light.
I know, here I are talking about
light. The light, or we see Ganesha.
Yes. So the free gift is a light activation meditation. And what it does is call on the highest source of light and bring it through the crown, and then bring it the archangel involved in that. Like the crown is Archangel Metatron, and he represents wisdom and spiritual enlightenment. And so then it comes all the way down through the chakras, bringing, for instance, the heart is Archangel Raphael, and he expands us into a place of healing and love. And then all the way down through to the base chakra, which is Archangel Sandalphon, and that beautiful presence of well-being. And so it's that, and it anchors us on the earth so that we might be the bridge from heaven to earth, which is one of the first things that Archangel Gabriel said to me, is that I'm here, but all of us are here to be a bridge from heaven to earth, to bring the light, the expanded presence of divine love and infinite intelligence into our physical body and radiate that in the world. And in fact, before we started, I took a Gabriel message card, and it says,
and this is a card you made, right?
Yes, thank you. Yes, there's 56 different messages. They all came from Archangel Gabriel.
Hey, that's the same as the year that you went through your
I was 56. You're right. And actually 11 is the angel number, so it's not surprising that all these things happened around 56. Okay. Although the 56 cards this is how old they are. Originally, that's what fit on a press sheet. It was 56 cards.
Sorry, I don't know what that is.
Right. Nobody does. And we're in the digital age, and so you can have as many as you want. But so there was 56 original, and I've updated this, and I've updated the book and everything. But this one says, accept that you are a radiant spirit of light, growing stronger every day in patterns of wholeness and truth. So, if you just feel into the difference in that attitude shift, that takes you, recognize that you are a radiant spirit of light, and wholeness and truth is a reality that we really want to live in. So it shifts your attitude basically. And
Higher energy shift when you started reading that card.
they have a transmission of energy themselves, so these are newly updated and printed and available on my website, shantagabriel.com.
Do you have a picture of what the deck looks like?
It looks I can get it, but it looks just like this. See?
That's beautiful. And who is that? Is that Gabriel?
This is the publisher, my publisher, O Books in the UK. They chose this image from, I think it's a really old church in Ireland, and it's a stained glass window of Archangel Gabriel. And he's holding a white lily, which is his I don't know what you get. It's a special kind of image. It's a symbol. It's a symbol. And there were times when I was seeing a white lily, not knowing that it had anything to do with Gabriel. So he was, getting my attention slowly but surely for many years.
Thank you, Shanta. That's
Yes.
really beautiful. And I really appreciated what you said about sleep and how sometimes we sleep without realizing we're in a very deep state of meditation.
Yes.
I really appreciated your very authentic, genuine sharing about feeling untethered and what someone who's feeling that way can do.
Yes.
Knowing that they're not alone, finding that mentor.
Yeah, it's really important. Mm-hmm.
And just the story, like your own experience of how you saw Archangel Michael and Gabriel and we're like, nope, and then started actually bringing it through and noticing how that's transforming people's lives.
Yes.
So thank you for this work, and thank you so much for sharing this gift freely, this meditation that brings in light so everyone can really experience what it is that you're saying.
One other thing is that the Gabriel messages is what I based my free weekly Inspiration of the Week newsletter on. And so every week on Sunday, you could receive a message from Archangel Gabriel and a little message from me about what it was like when I received it and what that means in our time now. And, these messages have had this timeless wisdom that's gone through whatever change we've come through. And so they really hold a transmission of energy that can make a big difference. That's one of the things that, teaching a class about the Archangels, which I'm going to do at the end of the month or the beginning of March, is this same transmission of energy from the Archangels is transformational. And one of the things that Archangel Gabriel, one last thing, he said that when we bring light into our bodies, it is so transformational that it allows us to be both radiant and magnetic. So that's the importance of light.
Radiant and magnetic too. What it is.
Receive and, be able to receive and manifest, and that sort of you're magnetizing all that you really want and need in life, and also radiating this beauty and power and love.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I think that's I'm glad you put that in, because I think that's a very important benefit for people to realize that, oh my God, meditation in this form, bringing in the light of the Archangels, can really allow me to radiate more light on the planet and also really magnetize all that is meant for me. And
yeah, and it's not just the Archangels' light. I mean, it's divine light. It's infinite intelligence, and that's what the energy, the frequencies of the Archangels represent.
Thank you, Shanta. Thank you so much.
Daksha. It's wonderful to be with you. Thank you.